Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, folks, the football podcast we bring you each and every week, where we talk about whatever may be going through your mind after a crazy weekend of football. We will be doing a Premier League review. We will be talking about the results at the weekend, some crazy results and goings on in the Premier League. We'll keep you bang up to date on what's happening at the Brentford Community Stadium. Massive match tonight for both teams, both with, dare I say, their sights set on potentially European football next season. My nose is running like a tap at the moment, excuse me. Uh, I have a cold. It's freezing here at the moment and it's lashing rain. But what can you do? But we got to get on with the show anyway. So let's talk Dave's LFC chats in the comments, in the chat. Let's talk about seven, baby. Absolutely talk about seven. And my man Doug out football channel. Doug, hi Niall. I'm in seventh heaven, 100%. Dare I say, lads, I'm tempted to have a drink tonight. Just thinking maybe I might go for one of these. I heard they're nice and refreshing. So we'll see what happens. We might crack one of them open during the show. And Warren's team talk is also in here. Hi, Niall. Are you still buzzing? I am absolutely buzzing, Warren, because it's not often in a lifetime as a football fan that history is created and that a result happens and a match happens. That's a moment in time that's locked in there basically forever. And I was listening to some fans on the way home tonight on Talksport and stuff like that, and they were saying, even if we went out next season and United were to beat us 2-1 or something like that, we'd still be able to turn around and go, yeah, but it's not seven. And that will remain there. It's the first time I believe it's been done in history. And certainly I read it's the first time it's been done since United have been recognised at Man United. I think it happened once before, maybe prior to them becoming Manchester United, I heard. So, yeah, absolutely buzzing, Warren. And Eno's in the comments tonight. What's the crack, Niall? All good, Eno. Horrible out there at the moment. Absolutely pelting rain down here in Wicklow in what's normally known as the sunny southeast, but not so sunny today and a little bit cold. Just to let you know, bring you up to date on that. Nearly 5 minutes gone in the Brentford game, and Brentford have just worked the keeper with a dangerous attack against Fulham. Both teams pushing for European spots potentially this season. But let's get into this review of the Premier League action this weekend. So here we go. And there's only one place to start, and that is at Brighton. Brighton absolutely dropping the hammer 4-0 on West Ham. Probably a shock result somewhat in terms of the distance between these two. McAllister was absolutely sensational on the day. Matoma as well, big shout out to him. What a sensational player he is as well. And the work that the Serbi's doing there is incredible. And something tells me they may still have a say in the top four race there. I say they're a number of points behind us, but I think they've got 2 games in hand at the moment. Just to let you know, just to bring you straight up to date here from the Vitality Community Stadium, it's 1-0 to Brentford. A goal just scored in the 6th minute. Just waiting to get confirmation of who scored it. I'll bring you that as soon as I get it. But it hasn't come through yet. As soon as it comes through, I'll let you know who got the goal. Wouldn't it be fitting if it was Ivan Toney after the AFA doing him dirty last week in terms of, no, it's Pinnock who got the goal. Pinnock who got the goal. So 1-0 to Brentford. They draw first blood. Let's see how this goes. And what a job Thomas Frank is doing at Brentford at the moment. Cheap Heat is in. Where's Darren? Darren doesn't do the Monday shows anymore. The Monday shows are just me. Darren is our Thursday night delight, as they say. And Warren's in. Niall's doing a mini Warren's team talk match day live. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, absolutely. Just keeping an eye on the Brentford game for people anyway. But yeah, like I said, getting back to the Brighton game, Declan Rice coming out afterwards, apologising to the fans and stuff like that and all. And they have been very, very flat, West Ham and stuff like that, even though some of Rice's performance have been decent and stuff like that. But what do you think, chat? Talk to me about Declan Rice. How do you feel about Declan Rice? Sounds like news coming out today that Moyes' position at the club is not in danger just yet, although he's on a terrible run and in a proper relegation battle. As you can see there, floating around that bottom area, sitting in 16th at the moment, but just barely out of it. But what you're thinking, Chad, at the moment? Declan Rice. Lots of talk about this boy and how good he is and what he's going to do and stuff like that. And, potential move. He's been linked with Chelsea. He's been linked with Man United. He's been linked with Liverpool. He's been linked with City. He's been linked with everyone, really. But what's your thoughts in terms of the valuation and stuff like that? They've been touting him at 80 million, 90 million, 100 million, 120 million. I just don't get it. I don't see that being the valuation of what he brings. But let's see. Joanna's in the chat as well. Hi, Joanne. How are you? And hi to Warren and hi to Dave. And Cheap Heat is back in. Moyes' days must be numbered. Yeah, that would have been my thinking, Morris. Definitely, of course, check out Cheap Heat Productions podcast and check out Warren's Team Talk and all the podcasts in there. Dave's LFC chats and Doug's one and all. They're all great channels at the moment, doing great things. I would have thought his days are numbered as well, but it's a real interesting one because they don't seem to be in a hurry. Now, maybe that's because maybe there's not a huge amount of options out there or something like that. But certainly the results have been shocking, really. Now, I know they did get a big result the previous week. I think they won 4-0. But that was a shot off the bow. Myself and Darren really spoke about that last week, saying, God, how did that come about? We weren't expecting anything like that. And it's, what I would say, I look at Mikel Antonio, and I'm not sure whether he's up to Premier League level anymore. There's a number of players in there at the moment now that I think the Premier League is starting to pass them by, and it's going to need serious investment. Acers on goal, and that's in the match that we're watching at the moment. Yeah. And then Cheap Heat is back in again. Morris thought he would be on tonight to get the 7 jokes out of the way. No, he's never available now on a Monday. And Mark Rennan, back in their box and thrown to the bottom of the sea. Love it. You kind of predicted it the other night, Mark, during the show as well, yeah. Warren reckons Declan Rice is a traitor. Big words in from Warren tonight. I do like that at the start of a show. And Morris is in. Declan Rice is a solid player in a bang average out of form team. I think he's 60 million max player. Yeah, and I suppose it's that the English tax on these players, isn't it? The homegrown thing as well is the big thing. Ask Del Boy about him. Yeah, I can just imagine. Yeah, 100%. I don't think Rice is worth that amount of money. Nowhere near it. Yeah, it's just the way the market's gone at the moment. That's why I said I'd ask you guys your opinion because I value it so highly. And then Morris on the chat, always good to see. Morris is always here, my good man. Right, let's get into the next one. The next one I want to look at, Man City. Man City beating Newcastle 2-0. Foden with the goals and Bernardo Silva. Haaland having a mad one, but Foden was back to his sublime best there at the weekend, playing really, really well. It was the early kickoff, the lunchtime kickoff, and a big win for Man City. Lay down a marker, putting that pressure on United. Or sorry, not on United, I should say, on Arsenal. There was enough pressure on United. The Sunday game, we'll get to that, don't worry. It's coming. Be prepared. But yeah, Foden was absolutely fantastic on the day. Haaland didn't get a goal, but did get an assist. Rodri looked really, really well. Bernardo Silva took his goal very well. Newcastle somewhat on a slide at the moment. Results not really going their way at the minute. Really, really struggling. Some of it, I presume, will be that hangover from the disappointment of the push for the League Cup, and also the disappointment of not getting the job done after being there after so many years and stuff like that. So interesting times for Newcastle. They do have some games in hand at the moment in the Premier League. My thoughts is probably end up somewhere around Europa Conference. I don't see them pushing on, challenging for the top 4 spot. I had a conversation with Darren about this today, and he said he could see them going on a run. And I said, but a lot of their players at the moment are not playing well. So Maximin's not playing well. Almiron has dropped off. Callum Wilson isn't playing well. Alexander Isaac's form is kind of in and out. back line looked a little bit jaded there at the weekend there, I say. So we'll see what happens with Newcastle, but certainly they will have a say in it. But my thinking is over the next number of weeks they might probably drop away. Brilliant game at the Emirates at the weekend. We have to talk about this. What a sensational game. Bournemouth playing absolutely brilliant, taking a 2-goal lead. Billing and Senesi scoring the 2 goals. And I was actually, at the time of watching the game, I was in Warren's show, and I was updating them and stuff like that, and it looked like a real disaster. And I said to Warren, and I said to them in the chat and all, Warren will confirm this, I said, just be patient, take your time. Arsenal will get back in and stuff like that. Now, I didn't expect it to be the 97th or 98th minute, and I certainly didn't expect it to be Reece Nelson. But absolutely fantastic for the boy. Took his goal, lovely. What a sensational goal. Forget about even scoring a goal with that kind of pressure on you to maintain the gap between themselves and City. But that boy coming on and to hit that so clean and score that goal, the place just erupted. And I could see it, the boys were ready. I'm sure Warren and the boys, they were all ready with their tweets, with their Instagram posts, WhatsApp, the whole lot. They were going to absolutely go in hard, and then they just had to take them back out and put them on ice again. So yeah, it was interesting. Brilliant win for Arsenal. Keeps the momentum going. Shows that bit of character that they have, that they're willing to fight right to the end to get the results that they need. But yeah, sensational, and what a goal by Reece Nelson. Brilliant, and from an unusual place there, I say. Acers is in. How are we, Acers? Roy Keane was absolutely spot on Royce last Wednesday. Yeah, we spoke about it on the Thursday show. He went in hard, and he says the expectation should be so much more. I don't know if his steeliness Acers have gone in on was some of it related to being a little bit bitter during that time, and they couldn't get him over the line in terms of becoming an Irish player. What we shall see. Morris back in. Time to talk about Newcastle. They should be happy finishing 7th or 8th. Yeah, I think they have. I said this to Darren as well. I think what's happened with Newcastle is they perform so well at such a level. Getting into 4th there reminded me somewhat of the couple of seasons with Brendan Rodgers with Leicester, where he was in 4th all the way through the season, and then last 4 or 5 games just falls out of the 4th spot and ends up in 6th or 7th or whatever it is. And I think it's very similar with this. The expectation and the bar is being raised now within the Geordie fan base. Obviously, getting to the League Cup final and stuff like that was huge for them, and to see them down there in London, and obviously the disappointment. I mean, the team really didn't show up in that cup final, to be honest. It seemed like as comfortable a cup final as Man United will probably ever play in. But the expectation has been raised greatly. And I think that's a problem now, because when you get a drop off there now, things could get slightly agitated. But yeah, Morris, I fully agree. I'm thinking that as well. Not to say that they couldn't go on a run and that they but I don't see it at the moment when I watch them. Acers beheading Eddie Howe if they don't get Champions League next season. I don't think so. You don't get away with that, Acers. You might get away with that in Saudi. You don't get away with that in the UK. Cheapy, Reece Nelson has double the amount of league goals Aubameyang has now. Absolutely. Yes, Niall did all of that. Thanks a lot, mate. Yeah, no problem, Warren. Absolutely no problem. Was delighted that Arsenal picked up the win, to be honest. Huge win for the Gunners, especially in the title race. Let's move on and let's talk about we'll go Villa Crystal Palace next. This is an interesting one. The Corey getting sent off. Saha had a goal chalked off VAR. Anderson scored an OG. And that was the goal of the game, given the win to Villa. Not a whole lot to talk about in this game, really. Villa needed a big win. Vieira's under a lot of pressure there at the moment. Red card won't help him either with the Corey. Palace just struggling again to find their stride. I don't know what it is. It's just they don't. I don't know whether it's a lack of belief. I don't know whether it's the fallout from losing players like Conor Gallagher back to Chelsea and stuff like that and all, and not really replacing them with the quality that you would want. The form of Wilfred Zaha this season has been very indifferent. He's sometimes been in and out of the team. He's had injuries and various things. And I just think they just struggle there in terms of they're not going to score a whole lot of goals. And they've been coughing up some goals, and that's really not a great recipe. And they could find themselves bang into the depths of a relegation battle. The way that whole relegation thing is setting up at the moment down there, it's real tasty at the moment and really, really, really tight, and going to tighten even more. Morris, I don't know what was more shocking this weekend, the 7-0, Shelby giving away a penalty, or Chelsea winning a football game. For me, it has to be Shelby giving away a penalty. And Ace was back in. Saudis will be doing when Newcastle are on pre-season tour in Saudi in the summer. Yeah, Eddie Howe will be ringing in sick that week. Don't worry about it, Aces. He'll be all good. So yeah, let's move on to the next one then. The next one for us to take a look at is, we looked at Brighton. Chelsea getting a win. Wesley Fofana coming up with the goods on 53 minutes. Fantastic goal. Took a lovely, was very unlucky with one just before it. Nearly a carbon copy as well. Just went over. Beautiful header of the ball and stuff like that. But Wesley Fofana picking up the goal. Again, not from a place where you'd expect the goals to come from, with the firepower of Chelsea up front. Somewhat, I would say, slightly eased the pressure on Potter in terms of it will give them something to bring into Tuesday's game against Dortmund, where they're 1-0 down. My think's that I think if they go out to Dortmund tomorrow night, I think it would be very, very difficult to find a reason to keep Graham Potter in the job. And I have said this now for a couple of weeks. Whatever about the form in the Premier League and stuff like that, and I think top four is way out of their scope now at this stage. So all that remains for them in terms of Champions League is to go all the way, and I don't know about that at the moment. You'll have a pumped up Dortmund side with Jude Bellingham in coming to the bridge tomorrow night, a 1-goal lead. It's going to take a huge task for Chelsea to get over that, considering goals have been missing for a while now. We know with Joe Felix with the February one, Wesley Fofana with the goal at the weekend. But I think it's going to be a real struggle, and I would fear for Graham Potter's position. When you listen to him talking over the last few weeks and some of the stuff he's been coming out, and for him, which is very unusual as well, kind of deflection tactics in terms of his own position and all, and talking about Arteta and Jurgen Klopp and people like that and stuff like that. It's normally not a good sign in terms of what the rumblings are. Also, we know that Chelsea have been checking out what's available in the market in terms of managers and stuff like that. So my guess is, if they go out to Dortmund, I'm not sure whether Project Potter continues at Chelsea. And everyone knows I'm a huge Graham Potter fan, so it's a tough one for me to talk about things like that. Morris is in the comments. Potter in. Absolutely. Morris absolutely relishing in what Chelsea are doing at the moment. And Morris back in again. He's an egomaniac. Big shout, Morris. Big shout. But yeah, it was a big win. A draw wouldn't have flattered the game at all. It could have easily been a draw. But Chelsea got over the line. It was a huge 3 points for them. But we move on and we see what happens there. Wolves versus Tottenham, one of my favourite results of the weekend for obvious reasons, because we went into Sunday, and although there'll always be pressure on us against Man United, it's the biggest fixture of the season for us on Anfield, let's be honest. Watched all around the world by everyone. Doesn't matter if you're living in a wigwam in the Amazon jungle, you're going to be watching Liverpool versus Man United, or the reverse fixture, both fixtures in the year. So this one was a big one for us, and Wolves to win this. And of course, Mr. Vaseline steps up himself, Adama Traore. Myself and Darren both shocked on the day that he finished it, but gets the big goal late on 82 minutes, and Spurs really, really, really struggling. Obviously, Conte missing. They would have been disappointed going out of the FA Cup as well against Sheffield United during the week, and that carried over into the weekend. So between that result and the Newcastle result, dare I say, somewhat eased the pressure on us in terms of having to get a win. But then we went out and we were just absolutely sublime, and we'll talk about it. But it meant that the two teams above us had dropped points and had lost. So, even dare I say, if we had picked up a loss, we still would have been honours even basically going into that round of fixtures. So the door opened up for us, and boy, Jesus, did we kick that door off the hinges. Um, and then we rounded out the Saturday fixture. Southampton picking up a huge win. Alcaraz, 35 minutes, 1-0 to Southampton. Ward-Prowse had missed a penalty. Very unusual. You'd normally back him. Shay Adams with the assist for the goal. 1-0 against Leicester. Brendan Rodgers back in serious trouble again. And it just goes to show when the boy Maddison at times is missing and stuff like that, they're very, very blunt there at Leicester. Big problems there at Leicester at the moment. Getting sucked back down into a relegation battle as well. And a lot of players sounding out moves away and stuff like that. So not a great mix in there at the moment. Aim back in, Harry Potter, yeah, more like it. And my man Mark Forrest is in. Still be a few mess ups in the top four, absolutely. And so long as it's not us, Mark, we'll be very happy. And Cheap Heat back in. Spurs are consistent at being Spurs. In fairness, they juiced up Iwobi scores. Absolutely. And Ian's in, come on, you Spurs. Yeah, they were that. And Mark's back in. Just need to go keep this and build on it. Yeah, absolutely. And Cheap Heat back in as well. One of the great things for Liverpool this weekend was adding to their goal difference. Yeah, it was massive, absolutely massive. And not only adding to our goal difference, but absolutely blunting down United's as well. Let's get into Sunday. Sunday started out at 2 o'clock from the City ground, Nottingham Forest versus Everton. Everton started out pretty good. Gray scoring a penalty, but they did create a number of chances as well, and were playing really, really well in this game. But Brennan Johnson, the man myself and Darren always talk about, cropped up on 19 minutes to get the equaliser. The Corey then scored a lovely goal on 29 minutes, and then at 77 minutes, Brennan Johnson again scored. And this game could have went back and forward, could have went really either way. But in fairness, the draw, probably Everton would have been a little bit disappointed in it. They really put it up to Forest at the City ground, but Forest found a way, as always, to keep a point. A draw probably not doing either of them a whole lot of good, to be honest, but a 2-2 draw. And then we went into what we regard as the main event of the evening, as Bruce Buffer would say from the UFC. And shout out to John Jones, UFC heavyweight champion. What a result there. Unbelievable. So we started out this game, first half, United with the lion's share of the play and stuff like that. Again, we were counter-attacking, we were pressing and stuff like that. United with a number of chances. Rashford had a good chance. Anthony had a shot saved, curler into the far corner. Allison down really well to save it. And Fernandez had a header at the back post, just going marginally wide again. It was Trent kind of just going a little bit asleep on that one. But then on 43 minutes, Cody Gakpo pops up. What a ball from Andy Robinson to put him through, and just switches it in and curls it into the far corner. Fantastic opening goal. Then straight after the break, Darwin Núñez on 47 with a quick goal, and also Gakpo on 50, and suddenly we were 3-0 up. We were really, really loving this then. Mo Salah pops up on 66 minutes with a great goal. Núñez creates a double on 75 to match Gakpo. Salah creates a double on 83 minutes. So the three boys up front with 2 goals each. On comes Bobby Dazzler, the man who has confirmed that he's leaving us this summer. His contract has run down. Sad to see him go. Being an absolute legend at the club. In so many ways, such a thankless job he's done, scored some brilliant goals, really pushed and did that hard work as well to make Mane such a star and Salah such a star at times as well. If you go back and you look at his highlight reel, his assists are as thrilling as his goals, in fairness to Bobby Firmino, and there's not many people you can say about that. But we knocked United 7-0. Some would say it could have been more. Last year, you seen it was 5-0 against Ollie, but we kind of took our foot off the gas. This year, we didn't take our foot off the gas, which is something that I spoke about and something that I admire about Pep Guardiola, that even when he's 4, 5, 6-0 up against teams, he just keeps on going, wants more and more and more, wants to punish teams. And I liked that there the other day. Players came on and we were still at it. Stefan Bietic came on, still wanted to go at it. Bobby gets his goal. And it was great for Bobby to get the goal as well, because it's probably his last game at Anfield against United. And to get that goal, he can cherish and bring that goal with him. And in such a historical fixture and historical match, 7-0, never been done before since Man United have been recognised as Man United. It was absolutely incredible. And what a goal by Bobby. Yeah, one of the great things for Liverpool this was adding to their goal difference, and absolutely crucifying United's. And Ian back in the comments, I seem to have gotten that nostalgia to watch some reruns, bro. Brilliant. Love to hear it. And Marcus back in again. See Neville blaming all the games United have played for them messing up against us. Mark, should we be surprised? Should we be surprised? You know, when we were doing it last season and it was tough going and we played every single game, you know, we didn't complain. We got on with it. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Once things start to fall a little bit apart, Joe, they always look for excuses. And Cheapy's back in. Could we be seeing the amalgamation of a new front three? We could be seeing the evolution of it as well. But again, we've got Jota there as well. We've got Luis Diaz to come back in, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of other players as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting. But certainly, we've gone from very, very tight squad to now suddenly, with Luis Diaz hopefully returning soon, we should have an abundance of riches up front, touch wood, no injuries and stuff like that. So really, really important. But we should be seeing an evolution now. These boys are starting the game week on week and understanding of how each other works. And I think these three are going to be absolutely sensational as well. And they were yesterday. Morris back in. Manchester United need to replace Bruno to move on. Yeah, I was listening to a lot of this today now. This is interesting, isn't it? Because like, he had a poor game yesterday, a really, really poor game. I mean, he cowered away from the game, really. And when you see, I hate to see players doing that kind of thing, you know, where you put your forearm across their chest and they're grabbing their face and diving on the ground. And look, he's a master of that kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's why he's probably not revered in terms of footballing circles, because of that kind of shithousery that he goes on with and stuff like that. And then there was talk that there might be FA action, but I don't think there's going to be, in relation to him grabbing the linesman and the linesman grabbing him and stuff like that and all. And then, you know, there was talk, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed, but it looked as if he was asking him 5 minutes ago to be subbed off, which is such a cowardly thing to do if that's the case. Like, to be asking to be subbed off. And you know, as some Man United fans were saying today, I was listening to some content creators on the way home today, they were saying that if he did do that, and Eric Ten Hag is questioned about it, and whenever he does his press conference for the Red Betis game on Thursday, he will absolutely confirm and tell you if that's what happened. Because the one thing you'll get with Eric Ten Hag is he's straight up in terms of what he has to say. But yeah, it was just a cowardly performance from them, and just you know, once the second and third goal went in, they absolutely had no interest in it at all. Mark back in. Don't know who the best top three will be when they're all fit. Looks like Klopp is fitting to replace Bobby for Gapco. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting one as well, and it'll be interesting to see how it evolves. Good shout, Mark. And Ian's back in again. Morris, don't you got some porn stars to interview on your podcast? He's already on that. He's already on it. Some great interviews over there. Henry, how are you, my man? Hope you're absolutely ecstatic from yesterday. Henry says, hi, chat. And Mark's in about Bruno. Bruno even put hands on the linesman. That needs a punishment. Yeah, I was kind of talking about that today. I don't think from what I can see, apparently the FA are not going to take any action. But I was kind of thinking, our gaffer let a roar at a linesman and got a ban. And a hefty fine for roaring at a linesman. This guy put his hands on a linesman, you know what I mean? And like, it's a weird one as well. You see Casemiro there, who had that altercation with the player and grabbed him by the collar and stuff like that, and gets a 3-game ban. And then you have other players go in there, grab a linesman or whatever it is, and nothing happens. It's kind of very, very strange and stuff like that. But I just, sometimes I look at players, and I think like, you relate them back to your own team that you follow, and you think, would you fancy them in your team and stuff like that? I'd hate to follow a team that has Bruno Fernandes in it. I just don't. Whatever it is about him, I just don't like him. I just don't like him. There's just nothing likable about the guy. But yeah, Mark, spot on. Morris back in as well. If Ronaldo put in those antics yesterday, he would be made a show of. The great number 7. Yeah, that number 7 keeps on cropping up everywhere, doesn't it? And Mark's back in. Hi, Henry. Hi, Mark. I'm doing okay. No, good to hear it, Henry. Good to hear it. Let us know, Henry. How's the subs going? The subs still climbing? They were climbing last week, doing well into the mid 80s, I think. Still 1-0 to Brentford on the night. Yeah, absolutely. I'm keeping a follow over here. 33 minutes gone. And Ian is back in. Shout out to my friends on the chat. Absolutely, Ian. Love it. Love it. So, I wanted to talk as well. I mean, where that leaves us at the moment, you can see there, Arsenal still top of the pile, 5-point gap between them and Man City. United remain in third, although any conversation of a title race now was quite dented after yesterday. Tottenham remain in fourth, but we do play before them on Saturday. We're the lunchtime game at Bournemouth. If we can beat Bournemouth, we will climb into fourth briefly to push the pressure on Tottenham. And long may that continue. If you look at the bottom 5 there at the moment, Leicester, West Ham, Leeds hovering just outside, Everton still in there. They were briefly outside of it during that game at the weekend, where they had the lead and then they gave it away. Southampton climbed off the bottom with a big win, and Bournemouth are rooted to the bottom. So what that means for us, for Liverpool going into that game next Saturday, we have to be on it again. Absolutely on it. No room for complacency anymore. Wanted to talk about this chat tonight. This joint statement that was released by Man United and Liverpool, by Eric Ten Hag and Jurgen Klopp, in relation to these, the chants about that's been going on back and forth about the Munich disaster and about the Hillsborough disaster and stuff like that. And it's mad to think that we live in a society where people think going to a game on a Saturday afternoon, probably having a few beers or whatever it is, think that this is the kind of thing and the kind of carry on to be doing. And it's very, very sad. Because the thing about it is both clubs are steeped in some fantastic history, brilliant history and legacy and stuff like that. But there's probably people in that crowd sitting there watching those games that have been affected by both those tragedies in one way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's just horrific to think that there would be people there thinking, regardless of how your game is going, regardless of how your team is performing, regardless of the rivalry between United and Liverpool and stuff like that, that this is what we would be churning out, or what fans will be churning out. And I think one, it's really, really disgusting. And I think two, it's really, really a damning situation when you think that two clubs have to come together to release a joint statement to tell people to just act like decent human beings. And it's so sad. And I'm glad they released it and stuff like that. But I just think anyone that's caught, I believe firmly, quoting anything to do with those two tragedies, in that kind of way, chanting it at a game. I mean, I'll tell you up straight front now. If I'm standing on the cop and I hear someone, chanting any of that stuff, or if I hear anyone, they're getting it. They're getting it. I don't care even if they're a fan like a Liverpool fan. If I was beside a Liverpool fan and I would hear them chanting anything to do with that Munich disaster, they're getting put in their place. They're getting told under no circumstances how it is, and they're out of there. There is no need for that and no place for that in any fan base. And especially the rivalry that we have built up over the years, the biggest rivalry in world football in some respects, and the respect that we always show when both events and the anniversaries of them rock around each year. There's just no place for this. This is beyond the beyonds at this stage. Lives that were lost, families that were affected, clubs that were affected. And for both our clubs, I was talking to Darren about it today, and for both our clubs to be at such a low point at that stage when both those things happened, and to climb up out of that and rebuild ourselves to become the powerhouses that we did in world football, that's a testament to the club that you follow. It's a testament to the people involved in the club. When you see people there yesterday at the match, Kenny Dalglish sitting there with his son Paul, enjoying the football, getting a great laugh out of it, enjoying it. Never forget what that man had to go through during that Hillsborough tragedy, and how he had to navigate a club and the fans and a city, and the sadness and the upset and the disaster, and then carry the weight of that for so many years, in terms of all the crap that came out and all the mudslinging and everything, and still to this day needs a lot of fixing up. And for people to just stand there and potentially use that as a chant and think, ha ha ha. I don't know what sort of human beings we're dealing with in 2023, but I just wanted to raise it as we do on this show. Don't forget, we never skirt around anything. We never miss out on anything. If something has to be spoken about, it gets spoken about. So appreciate you guys in the chat and stuff like that on that one. Let's take some more comments. Where are we? All right, Mark. Shout out to my friends on the chat. Ian is there. How's it going, Henry? All right, Mark. Over 21's game tonight against Arsenal. Nice. And Mark Forrest, 4 massive games away, then Arsenal at home, a very hard run. Yeah, absolutely. But these are the ones, Mark. These are the character building ones. These are the ones that show whether you've really turned that corner or you're not still on a roundabout and you're ready to go. Ian, doing good. Henry, doing good, Ian. And yeah, thanks, Ian. And my man, the man from Wexford, the Wexford Warrior. Big up, Niall Legend. You are back with a bang. Absolutely back with a bang. Yeah, absolutely, Coyle. And I was it's just, talk to me in the chat there, Coyle. Tell me about the roller coaster of Saturday, going into 90 minutes there, 2-2 against Bournemouth. It's such a roller coaster, isn't it? It's just, I was talking to Morris about it tonight, and like every game feels like a cup final. You're nervous, you're anxious, you're trying to get over that line, you're trying to get to that finish line. Absolutely crazy. And Cheap Heat back in. I can't believe adults would make these chants. Morris, it's not even that adults making these chants. Do you know what it is? It could be adults in the grounds who have brought kids to the match who are potentially making these chants. And they're going, you're potentially the father of a child, and this is what you're spitting out. It's just, I don't know. I just don't get it. It's just weird to me, but never be able to eradicate these chants. Too many vile elements. Yeah, Mark, absolutely. And it's just, you know what? Eventually they'll all be found. They'll all be churned out, and eventually one day we might be clear of it and stuff like that, But it just sickens me, the fact that both clubs have to turn around and tell a section of their fan base how to conduct themselves as normal, decent human beings. It's just, makes my blood boil. Henry, adults can be assholes, Cheap. Yeah, 100%. And Ian's back in, praying for our falling heroes of our sport. Love you all. Absolutely. You're on a mad one tonight, Ian, aren't you? You're on a good one. And Mark back in, saw a plaque. Saw a plaque to the Hillsborough 74 in our local cricket club, as I'm only in the next county. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's mad. And then Cheap Heat back in as well. In fairness, love to get my few points in before the game, but never been down that road. I've heard some bad things in the stands over the years. Absolutely, Morris. And and these people, they needn't think they can hide behind drink and stuff like that and all, because that just doesn't work with me. Nothing wrong with having a few points, nothing wrong with enjoying your game at all, but it's absolutely vile. And Coyle's back in to tell me, heart attack job, Niall, but our luck is going to run out soon, mate. But Coyle, don't think like that. The luck is not going to run out. The luck keeps on going. If it's meant for you, you'll get it. But yeah, I can just imagine that 97 a minute. Like, I'm sure you were looking, going, Reece Nelson. Yeah, mad. I didn't get an update off you guys either as well. Let me know. Is there any update? I know Trossard went off injured. Is there any update on him? Is it just a knock? Is it precautionary, or is he going to be out for a week or two or miss a couple of games? I'd love to know. Big fan of Trossard. Was delighted to see him when he went and signed for Arsenal. And Henry's back in again. Adults should be a mentor to the younger people, but to be singing or shouting vile stuff should have a lifetime ban from all sporting events. Absolutely, Henry. Spot on. Spot on. And Morris back in. Coyle, I need Del Boy's ticket connection for April 1st. Still no tickets, lads. Absolutely. Del Boy is the man. Del Boy can, dare I say, Del Boy can talk to his buddies at AFTV, maybe, you know. Apparently he has some new friends there. What do you reckon, Coyle? Is it Del Boy Gunner AFTV yet? I was winding him up the other day on Saturday, just a bit of fun. His vlogs were great. Loved the son Zach as well. He was spot on. Loved those vlogs and all that they do. It's classic stuff. Love Del Boy. And Mark Forrest, I didn't know it was there. Was chatting up the female. I didn't know it was there chatting up the female groundskeeper. Oh, love it, Mark. Love it. It's amazing the way these stories unfold. You know, you imagine you went steady with that girl and you got engaged and you got married or something like that, and you were telling the story about how you met. You know, it's just mad, crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Wanted to talk about this man. This man has been vilified at times by the fans. He has been cherished. He has been loved, and everything in between. Signed a big contract there last year to re-sign with us. Some fans called it a money grab. Other fans called it he was paid for what he was what his value was in the market. But he's after breaking Robbie Fowler's record and a number of records. 131 top scoring African player. I think he just edged it and went ahead of Didier Drogba. I think it was. He was level with. Liverpool's top scorer with 129, going above Robbie Fowler. A record I never thought I'd see being beaten, especially in those dark years when we were following and we were kind of in United, Arsenal or Chelsea's shadow. But sensational from Mo Salah. 104 most left-footed goals. That's crazy stat, isn't it? And 32 most goals in a 38-game season. He has broken so many records. But it was fantastic yesterday to see him back to that Mo Salah, driving at players, dribbling, putting players. You seen what he did to Lisandro Martinez, arguably one of the best centre-backs in the league this season so far. And we just absolutely tore them asunder. Varane was twisted in and out. What a sensational defender he is. But when Mo Salah and Liverpool are on it, they're on it, and there's not too many teams can stop them. But I just thought I'd put it out there. It was kind of bittersweet for me as well, because I'm such a huge fan of Robbie Fowler. There's a picture over there, Robbie Fowler, actually, on the wall. It's a real old picture. He has a bucket hat on him and all, and he's holding up a flag. And when I think of Robbie Fowler, I think a real salt of the earth. He was one of the fans in the stands. He was for the people. He did all the Docker stuff back in the day and all. And I really loved Robbie Fowler. So it was kind of bittersweet as well, because I love Mo Salah as well, and I was delighted Mo Salah with his success and stuff like that as well. And there was a nice one there yesterday as well, after Mo had scored and overtaken Robbie Fowler. Robbie put out a tweet congratulating Mo Salah on the record and stuff like that. So it just goes to show you that beautiful bond still there at the club and stuff like that. Great stuff. Where are we? Cheap. I heard Del Boy is Julian's best man. I'm telling you, man, this guy was all over AFTV at the boys at the weekend and stuff like that. Robbie judges the whole lot. He was on them all. Kyle Nelson, a legend. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's out for a week or two now. Okay. So not as bad as you would have expected, but again, still a loss. These are these pivotal moments going into the only things we have in the international break coming up and stuff like that shortly. So that should help a bit if he's going to be out for more than a week. Salah needs a statue at Anfield. Mark, I think that's a given. I think that is a given. We're very good on that in terms of that type of stuff. And Henry, and he isn't finished by a long way, in my opinion, though. Yeah, interesting, Henry. Yeah, because I mean, you would have thought, like, all the talk that was going around about the meals with PSG and the Qatari owners, or the owners of PSG and stuff like that. We would have feared the worst, that maybe if things got really toxic this year and we didn't have this bit of a mini resurgence and turnaround on what a game yesterday and stuff like that. And the beauty of that game yesterday is not only are we beating our rivals, not only have we broken a record, not only are we fully back in the top four race, not only have we sent a message to the teams around us, not only have we improved our goal difference, not only have we shunted United's push into a title race and shunted their goal difference, but what we've done is we've sent a message to the transfer market that Liverpool is alive and well, and certainly a place that you would want to come to. And that's what I really liked about it. But yeah, absolutely, Henry. I don't think he's finished either. I think he is still plenty to offer, and he looks. Yesterday, he just looked right back to pre-AFCON. Remember that pre-AFCON when he was absolutely the best player on the planet? Then he went off to the AFCON, and the disappointment of that, and then not qualifying for the World Cup was a huge disappointment for him as well. And of course, missing out against Mane's Senegal as well wouldn't have been great either. Would have been tough on him and stuff like that. But certainly, we're starting to see over the last few weeks the bounce back from the most solid that we would expect. Kyle back in the comments. If you're looking for tickets, Morris, I see what I can do. He is absolutely looking for tickets. Just going to check in on the game here. So it's now, from what I can see, it's 1-1. Solomon, after getting the equaliser on 39 minutes, we're on 45 plus 3 here, so we're about to go into half time. But 1-1 at the moment. What a sensational job Marco Silva is doing as well at Fulham. They have been fantastic this year. And Mark's in, 1-1 at Fulham. Appreciate that, Mark. And Morris back in. Yes, mate, I am. Got stung when they came out. They sold out after 6 minutes. Yeah, so whatever you can do, guys, help each other out. Ticket-wise and stuff, that'd be great for Morris. What will it take for Kyle to support LFC? His dad, actually, Mark, his dad is a huge supporter of Liverpool Football Club. He watches our shows, the Shankly Sessions, stuff like that, loves the podcast. But Kyle's always been a Gowner. But his dad's a big Liverpool fan, loves the podcast and stuff that we do. So you never know. And Kyle's often said it, and I've often said it as well, if Arsenal or Liverpool aren't doing well, they're kind of the tangent in terms of our clubs. And Henry in as well. Just a few more to catch Fowler and Stevie. Yeah, absolutely. And then Ian's in Upper Tier FC. Yeah. And Kyle, leave it with me, bud. I will text you on Insta. Okay. Brilliant stuff, Kyle. Super stuff. Let's talk about some of the headlines that dropped out of yesterday. Some interesting stuff from the fixtures and stuff like that. Roy Keane was so Kyle the Black Sheep, Mark says. So Kyle the Black Sheep, yeah, in fairness. Yeah, no, Kyle's one of the good ones. But yeah, Roy Keane yesterday, it's kind of like some people would say, like, he's box office. You can see it even when you drop anything in terms of your content related to him, stuff like that. The views and the likes and everything just go through the roof. But yesterday, he sort of sails with the wind, doesn't he? Because 2 weeks ago, he was kind of like, United are back, they're on it now and all this kind of thing. And then yesterday, it was like, what did he say? Fernandez's body language today was disgraceful. Absolutely. I think the world agreed with that. And it was just, as a captain of Man United, I'm sure Kane, who spent many a year there as captain and stuff like that, would have a certain level of respect and how you carry on and how you conduct yourself and how hard you fight for your team and stuff like that. I wonder if De Gea will be getting a presentation tonight. Hard in on De Gea as well. He was fuming at Man United after the 7-0 drubbing at Anfield and warns against that circus creeping back into the club. Very, very interesting from Roy Keane yesterday. And I don't know if you caught the post-match. Souness was a brilliant one as well, pre-match, where he turned around and he felt that Liverpool were going to do a number on Man United yesterday. There was no surer thing. And I liked his confidence as well, but it was certainly an interesting one to come out with that kind of confidence and then for it to ring true. Was very, very interesting. So hats off to Grant Souness as well there. Started the game, putting his nads out there to be slapped if it hadn't gone the right way. Jamie Carragher, hails Liverpool's Reds 7-0 thrashing of Manchester United. He said, Liverpool felt like the way they were a few years ago. It gives them a huge lift. Absolutely spot on from Carragher. Also, Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson, who of course has been recently, a lot of people have been questioning him as a captain and also a number of other things, and that maybe his time has come and all this kind of thing. Was absolutely outstanding yesterday in the midfield. Him and Fabinho back like the old days as well, and to have the energy of Harvey there as well. What a pivot and a tandem that created. But he came out and he said that it really hurt last weekend watching Man United lift the Carabao Cup. So that was ratcheting up that rivalry there. And he insisted that the energy levels at Liverpool are back, and they certainly were on show yesterday. We'd also like to take a moment tonight as well to talk about a football fan in his 50s who's fighting for his life after suffering a head injury in a mass brawl between Blackpool and Burnley supporters. I haven't got an update on that. I hope he's on his way to recovery and hasn't lost his battle there, but suffered severe head injuries and stuff like that. He's fighting for his life. Such a needless thing again. When we talk about you're going to a match to support your team and you get caught up in something like this, it's very, 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 very sad. Very, very needless. And no reason for it. There's no reason for it to escalate like this. So listen, our thoughts and our prayers go out to that football fan. We hope he's okay. But yeah, ridiculous, between Blackpool and Burnley supporters, and just again, we know so close to ourselves. It happened a few years ago and stuff like that, and also no need for it. Again, we spoke earlier about West Ham are not planning on sacking under fire David Moyes, despite a 4-0 thrashing at Brighton, which saw fans turn on the boss. Slowly but surely, the West Ham fans are starting to come around to the idea that maybe he's not the man. And Coyle's in, big up Mark, and Mark's laugh out loud, absolutely. Coyle, Dad loves the show in Liverpool, 64 years support, 937 years Arsenal. Brother is 30 years a Man United fan. That's a heck of a household now, isn't it? That's a heck of a household. Coyle, you must have had fun this weekend with the brother, did you? And I'd say that Dad was going in on the brother big time. Yes, they must have been electric in the Walsh household. And of course, check out Coyle Walsh Gunner, his channel as well. Give it all the support. And Mark, funny how City and Arsenal have exactly the same teams left to play. Yeah, it's just been a weird season between the World Cup, between the Queen's Pass and the way fixtures have had to be moved around. It's madness, absolutely madness. But it's going to make for a great end of season. This is going to be an electric end of the season between the title race, between the top four race. And that relegation battle is going to be absolutely immense right till the last day. I wouldn't be surprised on the last day of the season if 4 teams are battling it out in that relegation battle minimum. It's going to be electric. Yeah, where were we? FSG out. Interesting to think about this. A banner was flown over Anfield calling for the owners to sell the club before scoring 7 against Man United. The banner went over, FSG out. And I think it actually read as well, Klopp in or something like that. So it was FSG out and Klopp in or something like that. It was something I was reading. It was something funny like that. Bruges playing during the week. I think they're back in the Champions League action on Wednesday, as far as I know. No, it's actually Tuesday, tomorrow night. Bruges are playing Benfica. But once Scotty Parker's over there at the moment, he's 2-0 down from the first leg under severe pressure. Scotty Parker on the brink of being sacked. My thinking, if Bruges were to exit the Champions League, he'd probably get the bullet. He's only been in charge for 3 months, but he's only won 2 matches in that time while suffering a 3-0 loss to relegation contenders last Friday. So Bruges banging in trouble there. Scotty Parker over there with an update. And they are playing against Benfica tomorrow night, 2-0 down from the first leg. Paul Merson, here's one for you, Gunners and Gooners in the chat. Ray's just in. Do you think Hendo will get a benefit game for his LFC career? Yeah, you would think he'd have to get a testimonial, wouldn't you? Absolutely. Well earned. And Coyle, very funny, Mark. Absolutely. And Henry, wow, Coyle. And Mark is back in. Also, not just you rebelling, Coyle. You're spot on. And big up Henry. Uh, no Mark. And Morris back in. Are we gonna do it, Coyle? I have my doubts. Don't be doubting anything, lads. Stay positive. You have to remain positive in this. You've had a brilliant run in this so far. Keep it going. Remain positive. Send those vibes to the team, the fan base, the manager, the whole lot. Get behind it. If you don't get there, you don't get there. But give it every chance. Henry, I'm 50 years supporting this great club. Sister is a Watford fan, and sperm donor dad is a Spuds fan. There's a combination, Henry. Fair play. Sister is a Watford fan, and sperm donor dad is a Spuds fan. Nice. And Coyle is in as well. Morris, no, mate, trust me, we are not, unfortunately. And Ian is in there. We are all in it for the one thing that we all love, and that is football. Yeah, absolutely. And Coyle in. Some crack yesterday. Brother is sick. Oh, I'd say so. I'd say he went into hiding. I'd say that dad was giving him socks, Coyle. Absolute socks. Here's one for you, Gunners fans, as I said already. Paul Merson claims the Premier League title will be Arsenal's if they win their next 3 games. Your next 3 games up, as far as I know, are Fulham, Palace, and Leeds. Morris, I think it's the Leeds game that Morris wants to go to, actually. I'm sure he's messaged you. But that's what Paul Merson thinks. So what do you think, Arsenal fans? Win your next 3 games, or are you home and host? I suppose it depends what happens with the City games, doesn't it? Give him some flat 7 up, Coyle. Yeah, let's have we have a drink to Coyle's brother, and a cheers on a toast to Coyle's dad. There you go, Coyle. The 7 up, it's all there, mate. I have it there. Don't worry. And Morris, I grew up watching us win cups. My first cup was an '87 League Cup. Charlie Nichols remembers that one, Niall. Yeah, absolutely. That's why my standards are so high. I don't think we will win the league, mate. I remember you winning the league at Anfield, mate. That's how tough it was on me. And then we went down and bought one Michael Thomas. How could I forget? How could I forget? I was devastated. And our resident ref is in the gaff. Evening, lads. Was there games on at the weekend? Marky being a Man United fan. Marky, what was your thoughts on the game and Bruno Fernandes? Let us know your thoughts. I haven't really spoke to you about it much. You did send me some good stuff last night for the show. But yeah, it was an absolute implosion, wasn't it? After goals 2 and 3 just fell asunder. Only my granddad was a toffee. Interesting, Mark. Interesting. And Henry, that's all I can come up with now, as he has been non-existent in my life. That's fair enough, Henry. That's fair enough. And Henry, and my sister is my landlady, so even more concoction. Very good. Very good. My sister is my landlady. So you have to be careful there, Henry. You have to treat her well. And Dad had trials at Liverpool, picked up by Spike Milligan. Nice history there, Mark. I like that. Do like that now. I think you mentioned that. You mentioned that to me before, I think, as well. That's cool to have that, isn't it? That's it, folks. That's everything I have topical wise and stuff like that. Unless you want to talk about other stuff, I'm happy to chat away. Let's see, can we get an update? It's probably still half time in the big game tonight. Yeah, it's still half time there. It'd be interesting to see how that goes. Should be a great second half, actually, because both teams will want to get the 3 points in this one. Don't forget, we will be back this week, the Shankly Sessions. We will be back with a preview for Bournemouth. Probably go out on probably Friday, I'd say, maybe Thursday, we'll see. On Thursday, I will be back with Thursday Tier Talk. We'll be doing a preview for all the action coming up the weekend. We'll be doing Beat the Bookie. I know Joanne loves it, Beat the Bookie. We do our bets and our picks and our tips. And we'll also be discussing all the latest news as well, and probably taking a look back at what's unfolding in Europe as well. Can Graham Potter hang on to his job? Can Chelsea get through to the next round? Let's see what happens. We also have a big game coming up next week for us, Real Madrid, as we stare then into an international break. So hopefully we could potentially maybe do something there. Who knows? Marky back with his Henry back in. I might as well be in segregation and Broadways. Not at all, Henry. Not at all. And Mark, again, first half we did well, even at 1-0 down at halftime. I thought we were still in the game. But 2 goals in 5 minutes second half killed us on any game plan we had. Yeah. Bruno on his day can be world class, but boy is he a whingy bollocks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I said it earlier, Mark, on the show as well. I don't like when you see players going down clutching their face, and we're seeing a lot of that these days when you're not even touching stuff like that. It's really horrible. And not only that, when you're playing for a big club, it's even elevated more. And when you're the captain of a club like Man United to be going down like that, like I don't remember ever thinking that Roy Keane would be going down clutching his face if he wasn't touched. I mean, you'd have to upend him with a left again to hold his face, you know. So, yeah, really, really poor from your captain. I think we will struggle against Fulham. It'll certainly be a tough game. There's no doubt about it. They're playing really, really well at the moment. Yeah, and Bruno is no world class, Mark. Henry doesn't think Bruno is no world class, Mark. I don't know. I think, as I said, I wouldn't necessarily like him in my team at all. I think he has. There is things that he offers and stuff like that. Whether he's at that level, that I'm going to update that now, Mark. Don't worry, Mark Forrest. So most people like Owen has a list of 8 players to leave. Do you have a list? So most people like Owen has a list of 8 players to leave. Do you have a list? A list of players, this Mark, a list of players that I think will exit the club this summer. Well, some of them are kind of by default, aren't they? Really, I don't think it'll be as deep as 8 players. But what I do think a number of players, when they do remain, I think they'll become more squad players as opposed to on the starting 11 every week. So, I mean, who would we start with? I mean, who's gone? Keita's probably gone. Ox is definitely gone. We know that Bobby's gone. So that's 3. Curtis, they're probably going to stick with, I would imagine. But then you're looking at other players there at the moment. You look at the midfield, and we can't really get carried away with what we've seen over a handful of games. James Milner, I'd imagine, will probably move on or get an ambassador's role or get a coaching role. Who else is in there? We'll go. Talk of Quivine looking for a move away, potentially wants more regular football. We'll see what happens there. Adrian will probably go. So we'll probably be in the market for a goalkeeper, maybe 2, who knows? Or we might be able to promote a keeper from the 23s or the youth, the academy. Yeah, but then you're looking at Henderson, you're looking at Fabinho, you're looking at Thiago, and they're going to have to be more managed. So we're going to have to bring in huge reinforcements in the midfield. We're kind of set up front, I think. The only thing I would like to see is figure out how we create more competition in relation to Mo Salah's position. I'd like him to get more into a competitive battle to see the best of him, like what we had when him and Mane were battling against each other, not necessarily positional wise, but brought out the best in each other through that healthy competition there and trying to score goals and create and stuff like that. So I'd like to see Mo Salah challenged more. I think we'll have to make a decision on the right back situation. Are we going to stick with Trent, or is he going to go into midfield? Joe Gomez, we're going to have to make a decision on. Is he going to go into that right back position? Are we going to have to bring in a right back? We brought in Calvin Ramsey, but he hasn't really been seen much. Are we going to see more of him next season? Will he become more of a feature in the first team? Or will he go down the road of being like that hologram Ben Davis? Matip, decision has to be made on him. I don't know whether he's going to, there's talk of Vardiol maybe coming in. If he comes in, how far down the list does Matip then become, and would he be happy with that? Similar to Bobby, who we have to admire, doesn't want to sit on the bench and take a paycheck. He wants to actually play football in the last years of his career and stuff like that, which is admirable when you look at it. So yeah, there's a lot of changes and a lot of twists and turns and stuff like that. I mean, the last few weeks has obviously given us a lot of hope that certainly that even if we use some of these players as utility players or squad players going into next season, that we know that the drop off may not be as great as what we originally thought. So if you bring in a couple of real world class midfielders, if Jude Bellingham comes in, if they bring in a Nicola Barella, if they bring in some really good midfielders, that if you have a Jordan Henderson on your bench, he's coming in to provide a certain level of performance as well. That it's not a massive drop off. Like you're not taking off Thiago and putting on Naby Keita. That drop off is just too much if you want to really compete at the high level. Yeah, so that's my kind of thinking around at the moment. It's plenty of work for the team and the coaching to do over the summer, no doubt about it. Mark saying, RIP to the Blackpool fan was killed after the match on Saturday near the ground. Mark, I was just talking about that. Is that the one where the brawl that broke out between the Blackpool and the Burnley fans? The chap actually passed away, did he? Very, very, very sad, Mark. I was just on about there. I wasn't sure whether he had passed away or not. So thanks for updating us on that. But really, really, very, very sad. Just so needless. And Mark as well, he's a United fan as well, but he loves Blackpool as well. Blackpool would be his championship team if you like. But yeah, that's very, very sad. You go to a game to enjoy a game. Circumstances unfold and you end up in a brawl and you end up not coming home. Really, really sad. Henry, I said on his day, yeah, he can be. Yeah. I mean, what's your perception of world class? Interesting. And Mark, yeah, as losing that many will be hard to replace in one season. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think it's going to be there's going to be a shuffling of the pack in the summer, and then an assessment of key areas. And I think at a push we might see 3. A real good window would see 4. Considering all things, it's not kind of what we do. And if we do splash 150 on Jude Bellingham, we're certainly going to be going into the freebie market, and we'll probably be looking at guys like Rabiot and stuff like that. I don't think. We'll probably also have to look at the homegrown situation as well. Like obviously that's going to play a factor as well with a number of homegrown players there potentially moving out and stuff like that. So maybe that might force the Mason Mount hand. Who knows? But we shall see what happens. It's going to be a very interesting transfer window, and I think a whole heap of money is going to be spent this summer. It's going to be absolutely crazy, and it's going to be interesting to see. That's why top 4 is so vital for us. I now seen people turn around and go, yeah, Liverpool Football Club are a huge club and stuff like that, and the history and the legacy and Jurgen Klopp and the new training ground and the stadium being developed and all these other things and stuff like that. But players want to play at the top level, and the top level is the Champions League, and you can't deny that. And that's what's so important. And, for years we had to settle for 3rd and 4th choices and stuff like that because we weren't in around it and stuff like that, Kyle Walsh, I'd love 5 minutes with Bruno, an absolute prick. Yeah. I suppose the thing about it, Kyle, is if he's in your team, you kind of want a bit of that, like when it's in a rival's team or it's in another team and stuff like that. Yeah, you look at it and you go, yeah, absolute prick. But I mean, rivals looking out, so I could say the same thing about Xhaka. But and I know even Arsenal fans had an opinion on him as well. But what a turnaround he has had and stuff like that. But you still need that. I like that bit of shithousery in a player. But not to that point, not the way Bruno does it. I don't want players holding their faces when they haven't been touched, or going on stupid or diving in on the ref every time there's a decision. And we seen it yesterday with Anthony as well, sitting on the ground like this, calling for a card, calling for a bucket, where Luke Shaw was literally in a backpack on Mo Salah's back all match. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I think there's a need for that. Every team has that guy, don't they? That guy that just ratchets it up, Mark, yeah, thanks for the update. He passed away this morning. Yeah, very, very sad. Very, very, very sad. And Henry back in. I mean, do you need trophies and titles behind you to be considered world class? You do, I suppose, Henry, if you're looking at the overall situation on your career when you look back on it in terms of being regarded as world class and stuff like that. But I mean, Alan Shearer won a number of trophies, not a huge amount, and Alan Shearer was world class. You know what I mean? He was an unbelievable player. You know what I mean? Um, but interesting, yeah. Henry, do you think Harry Kane is a world class striker? Harry Kane, Mark thinks not really. Interesting. Interesting. Mark, when you say not really, do you mean not really in terms of trophies and titles, or do you mean not really in terms of Harry Kane? Uh, Simple answer, no, I don't. Hmm, interesting. Shearer is world class in my opinion. Well, that's an interesting one, Henry. Let me think about that one. So Shearer is world class in your opinion. Now, Harry Kane um, is a sensational goal scorer, and has been sensational for a number of years in an absolutely bang average side. Um, so that's an interesting one to talk about. Um, Mark is thinking world class is legacy, what you leave behind. Yeah, it is. It's certainly not a moment in time. But I suppose to be truly regarded as world class and be a legend, there does have to be certain trophies there on the mantle or in the trophy cabinet, doesn't there? But within a given moment when you're playing, you could talk about like looking back on your career and being world class is very different than being in a moment and being regarded as a world class player. Um, Harry Kane for me would definitely fit that bill. I think Harry Kane's a sensational striker, and I think if Harry Kane had made the biggest problem with Harry Kane is Harry Kane didn't make the decision in time to get out of Spurs. Um, Harry Kane could have operated for Real Madrid. Harry Kane could have operated for Barcelona. Harry Kane could have won bags of trophies with United. Harry Kane could have won trophies with Chelsea. Harry Kane could have went to Man City and won a ton of trophies. Dare I say he could have come to Liverpool. Like he get into most teams' front lines in terms of his scoring ability and stuff like that. He's absolutely sensational. Um, Mark, yeah, world class is legacy, what you leave behind. Yeah, absolutely. But being world class within the moment is how you're playing and stuff like that. Like we talk about when we talk about Mo Salah's form and the way it's returning, like the old Mo Salah. He's starting to look world class again. But yeah, it's a real one. Mark, he won the Prem with Blackburn. He did win the Prem with Blackburn, absolutely, and he was in a sensational Blackburn side as well. Don't forget that. If you go back and you look at that Blackburn side, there was some serious players in that Blackburn side at the time. And Henry's back in. My mind, Kane be leading scorer for England and Spurs doesn't qualify as world class. Um, it won't necessarily qualify as world class when you look back on Harry Kane's career, and if he doesn't win any silverware or trophies, and all he has to show for it is a selection or a collection of golden boots. But when you talk about Harry Kane at the moment and how he operates and his goal scoring, I mean, he's just beaten Jimmy Greaves' record, I think, and stuff like that as the top scorer for Spurs and stuff like that. Like that's a huge feat in itself. You know what I mean? Like we've already just spoke about Mo Salah beating Robbie Fowler's record. That is huge. To do that is huge. Um, and I think it's yeah, I just think it's sensational. I think Harry Kane. The thing about Harry Kane is staying at Spurs. He has done himself and his legacy in his own career a disservice by staying there. But sometimes you get players like that who just want to stay at a certain club and be that huge star, standout at that club, that leader at that club. Whereas if they go to other clubs, like if Harry Kane went to Real Madrid, he'd still be sensational, but he'd be sensational in a sensational team. Um, so that's how I look at it. Harry Kane could have won 3 trophies at Norwich. He could have, yeah, absolutely. But I think Harry Kane could have won trophies anywhere he went. I mean, look, at the end of the day, what generally delivers trophies, it's clean sheets on its goals, isn't it? And he has one of them tied down. So I think if he went to any of the top 4 teams and stuff like that, he 100% improves them straight away and their goal return. Just imagine having Harry Kane. Imagine Harry Kane at Man City. Imagine the goals and stuff. Look at Erling Haaland and stuff like that. Henry, well said, Niall. Cheers, mate. And Mark, what about Henderson then? Um, yeah, I mean, you have to turn around and with what Jordan Henderson has won. um, and how he developed into that side and led it and stuff like that, and to win a Champions League, to win a Premier League after 30 years, um, to go on and complete football, really win the cups, the World Clubs, the Super Cups, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely, I think his legacy and being world class is enshrined in the club, isn't it? Really, I don't think you could. I don't think most people would debate that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda with Kane. In my opinion, Kane should have left Spurs. His loyalty to them will cost him trophies and titles elsewhere. Yeah, absolutely. And look, loyalty at times is something to be commended. At a time where a number of players should express their loyalty and they don't, they tend to jump ship in the way the market has gone and stuff like that. And I do agree with you on that level, Henry, and stuff like that. Absolutely. He has hampered his legacy and his history in terms of trophies and all that kind of thing. But in terms of goal scoring, absolutely sensational. Stacks up there with the best of them. Just doesn't have the medals and the trophies to match it. And maybe that's not necessarily his motivation. Who knows? If his motivation was trophies and titles and medals and all that kind of stuff, why did he stay there? You have to ask that as well. As far as Hendo was concerned, he's world class as he's done what Gerrard couldn't quite do. He's won the lot. Yeah, that's a good point. And listen, would anyone turn around and say Steven Gerrard isn't world class? He was sensational, him and Lampard and all that back in that era. Mark Forrest, I agree. Henry won most awards. Yeah, but a lot of people wouldn't. They're just They're just better people. You know those kind of people. They're the kind of people who just want to just want to throw shade sometimes. Look at what we had to listen to when we won the league. It was in a COVID year. It's a COVID title and all. It's better nonsense. Henry Gerrard is world class because he single-handedly hauled Liverpool the Champions League in 2005. Certainly was a catalyst of it. I wouldn't say he single-handedly did it now because I think, remember, that team had Alonso in it and stuff like that. Alonso, sensational player, stuff like that. No, but yeah, he certainly was a catalyst to get it going and stuff like that. And was phenomenal. When you say single-handedly, Henry, as well, I think maybe in the pathway to the final, he certainly rocked up at key moments to make things happen and stuff like that. And so look, how could we even forget the West Ham, the cup final? The goal he scored was just sublime. And Henry, I agree, Mark. And Henry, I mean, Kane is 30 in June, I believe. Yeah, he is 30 in June. And even at 30 in June, Henry, although his fee might go down slightly from the dizzy heights of the fee that was quoted during the links with Man City, but I think he'd still command quite a fee and he could still go somewhere and be really, really, really successful. Imagine Harry Kane at Man United, crying out at times they are for a striker and stuff like that. Harry Kane, dare I say, at Chelsea would be absolutely sensational. Just maybe the links there with the London clubs and stuff might not sit well, but he'd be sensational wherever he goes. I mean, look at how good he's been in that Spurs team. And that Spurs team, most of the time he's been there, have been pretty much bang average. And I'm not saying that because Gerrard is my favourite player. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gerrard. Look, I'm looking up. I have art drawings here all around these walls of Steven Gerrard hoisting that cup with the medal and stuff like that, Henry. So you're not on your own there. I could easily see Kane going to United in the summer. I would not be surprised at all. And I think if they target him, it's whether he can get out from under the shackles of Levy. Levy doesn't want to lose him because I think if Kane was to leave Spurs, regardless of the money that's earned and the money that would be used to be reinvested, they would struggle big time. And the reason for that is if you look at Harry Kane, and this is why I think of him in that sort of world class bracket as well, not necessarily focusing on trophies and titles and stuff like that, but Harry Kane makes players around him better players. And that to me is really the true sign of a player who's potentially world class. Like you look at United up until yesterday, the effect that Casemiro has had on that United side. He's gone in there, he's probably 30 years of age, I think 30, 31 or something like that. But he has made players around him much, much better. And he's also brought that energy, that lifts United to a bigger performance and stuff like that. That tends to be the sign of world-class players as well. Team players that can go out there, that not are necessarily captains, but can motivate players around them and stuff like that to become much better players and stuff like that. And Gerrard was one of those players. If you look at Gerrard, look at how he motivated the players around him. Sometimes that were really bang average, and he got them playing absolutely brilliantly. So, yeah, good stuff. Can you see Kane going to Manchester? Not now. You don't think so, Mark? You wouldn't think they'd take a punt on him, no? Saying that City fell through. I don't think they will. I don't think that would be the benchmark for looking at it, because obviously I think they're going to get him. He would definitely be cheaper, because I think at one stage City were offering, what was it, 120, and Spurs wanted 150, something ridiculous like that. I don't know. I think if you offered Spurs now somewhere around 80, 85, I think Spurs might be tempted. But again, it depends on what they do. Mark, Gerrard is pure class, absolutely, 100%. What a player, and like, just unbelievable. When you talk about a player that went out there and gave you 100% every single game, wore the badge on his sleeve, wore it on his heart, and pushed through all the time at times. He was absolutely sensational. And Henry, I think, is if Kane ever goes, it will be abroad, but I think he's too loyal. He is definitely, there's definitely a loyalty in there, all right. I don't know whether Harry Kane would go abroad, I don't think his motivation would be to go to, some of the big clubs on the continent and stuff like that. I think he's a London boy and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I think he wants to hang around that kind of thing. I think he'd stay in the Premier League. I think he recognises the Premier League as the biggest league in the world and stuff like that. And Mark reckons, feel he's too old. You could be right, Mark. It would be a big investment and stuff like that and all, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing about it is with Harry Kane, I know he's had a couple of injuries and stuff like that as well, but I don't know. Is he slowing down in any way? Is it like he's still looking at me, still sensational, Because I think of Gerrard going to Chelsea back then, but I seriously think Gerrard would never have gone. LFC is in his blood. Yeah, and I think if you read his books and stuff like that, and if you look at the documentaries and stuff like that, Henry, he was very, very close, very, very close to making that decision. But he couldn't bring himself to do it. And thank God, because he was unbelievable. Just to bring you up to date, it's 2-1 to Brentford at the moment. Ivan Toney with a penalty on 53 minutes. This man just does not miss penalties. Sure, he doesn't. And if he gets a lengthy ban, he will be a huge loss to Brentford. He's absolutely phenomenal. And Henry reckons, like Bayern maybe. Absolutely. Imagine Harry Kane in the Bundesliga. Sensational numbers he'd put up. USA, if anywhere, I feel more money there. Potentially, yeah. Or, if he wants to look further afield, look at the money that they're touting around and throwing around in Saudi at the moment. Look at Ronaldo and the talk of Messi potentially going there as well. Cool, Mark. I get like Beckham vibes with that. Could be interesting, all right, yeah. But I don't know. I suppose I look at Harry Kane and we think about, when you think about the MLS, it tends to be a place where players go to finish out their career. I think Kane at the moment, in terms of top level football in Europe, still has a lot to offer to a team if he goes to it. And I don't know whether, I think his move after that might be the MLS. But I don't think his next move would be that. Rumours around Gerrard's next management club. Yeah. I don't know. What have you heard, Henry? I haven't seen a whole lot. The last thing I think I seen was the links. I mean, there was links there with Leeds, and he had links there with the Polish national side, which I never believed was going to happen. National team would be ideal. Yeah, I don't know. I think he needs to put in more work, doesn't he? I don't know whether you want to go down the road this early in your management career of a national side. I think it kind of, it's nearly a kind of a wind down, isn't it? Somewhat. And Henry, really, Mark, you mean take over from Southgate? Yeah, I see that as his best option. Interesting. Gerrard take over from Southgate. That'd be a big show, wouldn't it? That'd be a big, big shout. I like the thinking on it, all right. Sounds good. I don't know. I think Gerrard still fancies a number of years of club football and stuff like that. I think Stevie's love for the game. I don't think being a national coach. I mean, there's obviously a pride that comes with that and stuff like that, being the national coach and stuff like that. But I think for Stevie, I think because football is so ingrained in him, I think he need more than what national football coaching would offer him. I think he'd need more than that. I think he'd want that drive of daily football, really. Mark reckons Stevie G to take over from Duffer at Shells. Oh, can you imagine? It'd be incredible. I think Gerrard needs more experience. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Henry. It's not even. It's yeah. I suppose he needs to develop. He needs to develop in his coaching skills and stuff like that to gain that experience. Yeah, but I also think as well he loves football so much. I think he'd want that daily job of football. I think he likes that weekly or bi-weekly battle that football gives him and stuff like that. I think to be national coach, there's a pride with that and stuff, and there's a stature with it and stuff like that. But I don't think it gives him enough of the hands-on football, if you like. Um, and Mark knows the field and has free range of English players. Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm not saying I think he'd be a very good national coach, and I think he'd in that England setup he could be sensational. And certainly he wouldn't suffer fools gladly. But I think Henry's point is a good point as well in terms of experience. And it's the experience of dealing with players, that experience of having to make those harsh decisions to drop players that have been around the national side for a number of time. And also the blood in that new blood and stuff like that, and when to put it in and give it the opportunity, and you know that having to manage players and deliver that news of them not going, and players that you're selecting and all that. I think you need a lot more club experience to develop that way. Henry, have Hendo as his right hand man. That'd be some combination. Can you imagine that? Imagine Steven Gerrard as England national coach and Hendo as his assistant. Good Lord. Marky, can't see him getting the England job unless he goes back to manage an underage England team and works his way up the FA. Yeah, that's a good point as well, Mark. Absolutely, they do like that. That tends to be the kind of the route they take now, doesn't it? Especially now with bringing in foreign managers and stuff like that. And we've made that mistake, and England have made that mistake, and the amount of money it's costing and stuff like that. And look at the money that managers want these days. It's crazy, even at national level. And Mark is in. All Villa's players that Gerrard brought in will leave, I feel. Yeah, there could be a nexus there. There could be some players in there that are just not quite Emery players. And naturally, he'll want to stamp his identity on that squad in the summer and stuff like that. My guess is he'll have a good feel for some players he wants to bring in, especially from the La Liga, and especially from his old club, Villarreal. There's a number of nice players there that he could easily bring in and he'd have a relationship with and stuff like that. I think Morris before was mentioned as well, or Darren as well. I think that he might want to move Emi Martinez out. He didn't have a good relationship with him, I think, during his Arsenal time. And he sees him as kind of trouble and a hassle and a bit of a free spirit there, I say. So they might be in the market for a goalkeeper. Absolutely, Henry. Thanks for joining in. Love to have you in the chat and all and stuff like that. Hope the channel is still growing. Creep in touch, and sure we'll probably touch base on Thursday during the Thursday show. And Mark, good night, Henry. Have a good one. Absolutely. And Henry, thanks, Mark. You too, mate. Listen, folks, absolute pleasure bringing you the show. Got to go now. As I said, check it out. There'll be a Bournemouth preview going out this week. Thursday Tier Talk on Thursday. I think if you're checking out channels as well, if pro wrestling is your thing, you'll catch me 8 o'clock on Wednesday. I'll be on a channel called Dynamo's Dozen. If you could go over there, if you do like a little bit of pro wrestling and just change it up. from the football and the wear and tear of the season at times. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Absolute pleasure. If you could drop a like on the video on the way out if you haven't done so already, and of course subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, all that good stuff. Going to be an interesting few weeks. Here we go. Champions League coming back this week and next week. Massive games coming up in the Premier League over the weekend. Europa League for United, Real Betis coming up on Thursday. That's going to be a big game. They'll want to bounce back. Mark or Henry, see you on the flip side, Niall. Absolutely. And Mark and my sister, so we will see. Great stream. I loved it. Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it. Talk to you all again real soon, folks. What a sensational weekend in the Premier League. Liverpool creating history again. Mo Salah creating history. United absolutely put to the sword. Chelsea picking up a big win, but can Potter see it out with Dortmund tomorrow night? We will wait and see. Can Scotty Parker keep his job at Bruges, or will he be put to the sword as well? Let's see what happens in the relegation battle. The title race, Man City and Arsenal going head to head. United somewhat dropped out of it. Let's see how this top four race goes. Till next time, folks, this is the upper tier. My name is Niall. I am your host, and I will talk to you again real soon.